It's a spooky Halloween! Ooh. Ghosts, ghouls, dry bones, spooky!
Let's go. Let's go podcast now.
Is this the way we do it now? We have a little song like we're starting a musical.
I guess. We sing all the time.
I know.
We're basically like Snow Whites.
I mean, basically. I've always felt that way.
Is she the one that sings?
I think they all sing.
I bet she sings with those guys.
The little guys. The dwarves.
Yes.
Are you afraid to say it?
No, I just forgot what they were called. Even though it's in the title of the movie.
It is in the title of the movie. I don't feel that they are dwarves in the
traditional sense.
In the human sense. I think that
more
they're
like Lord of the Rings.
More like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
like a separate creature,
species.
a separate species.
Okay.
That's what I've always felt.
Yeah.
It'd be weird if there were just 7
little people hanging out with a grown lady.
Yeah. I mean, they can. But,
yeah, sure.
But also, they're not brothers, are they? They're just a bunch of guys hanging out.
I assume they're brothers. They're all named after, like, feelings and stuff.
No, I don't think they're brothers.
And states of mind. What would your dwarf name be?
Stinky.
Oh, no, it wouldn't. Stinky dwarf.
What would yours be?
Delightful. First, because I like alliteration. Second, because I am.
You are delightful. Yay. And that's why we're here, to have a podcast and be delightful and show the world just how delightful we are.
Is that the reason we started this thing? Because sometimes I think about it and I wonder. I wonder why.
I think we did it so we could hang out more.
Oh, yeah.
And I also think we just wanted to do a thing.
We love homework.
We love giving ourselves, we love making our lives more challenging and piling more things on top.
Right.
Like, I often feel like I am not living unless I am stretched to the max.
Yes, I know this about you.
I know. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like throw it all on top.
Yeah.
Another kid, another animal.
Sure.
What do you need? Another job?
A podcast?
A podcast?
That
sure.
requires a regular schedule? Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. We've stuck to it. We keep doing it. And I appreciate that about us. And the podcast is growing and that makes me happy. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you seem so awake right now. The problem also is that in order to do this on a weekly basis, we often have to do it early.
Yeah.
And which we're both early people,
yes.
But it's hard to be early and delightful.
It sure is. Yeah. And to be like fully functioning and, have all your wits about you.
Kim, if I've told you once, I've told you a million times, you always have to have your wits about you. Things can be coming at you.
Be cognizant of your surroundings at all times.
At all times. So what's new?
It's Halloween. Season.
It's October, and October means one thing, Kim. Fruit flies.
Yeah, it does.
Oof.
Those motherfuckers.
All of a sudden, it's like we woke up and we were attacked.
Yeah. So you just can't have any nice things. You can't have fruit.
Well, no.
You can't have potatoes.
We have a way. And it works. So the second you see a fruit fly, we make these traps.
Oh, this is really just you sharing a tip? Are you trying to go viral with your fruit fly tip?
I mean, if I do, would you be sad about it?
I'd like to talk about fruit flies, and I can solve all of your problems for just $9.99.
No, anyone can do it.
Apple cider vinegar and saran wrap.
Do you do it?
Yeah, everyone does that.
But does it work for you like it does for us? Because we're amazing at it.
It catches a lot of fruit flies, but there's always more.
I feel like it definitely takes them out of the game.
Yeah, we got that new thing that they've advertised that's like a light and with a sticky pad on it.
Oh, God.
Have you seen that?
I mean, it sounds like the old-fashioned bug zappers. That's basically a light with sticky pads.
But it looks nice. Like, it has like a little cover on the front of it, and all the dead bugs are hidden behind the shield. So you don't have to look at those dead bugs.
I like it.
It's not like a fly strip where they're just like all like dotted on there.
Like, you can't do that on television.
Yeah.
That's the thing at the diner.
At Barfs. What a weird show.
I know. We should get into that one day. But let's not right now.
Okay.
So, so you have a thing. It's a light. The fruit flies are attracted to it.
Yeah, but it still doesn't work. I feel like even at work sometimes, like I'll take oranges or something to work, and then all of a sudden during the day I'm like, oh no, They're here now. They've come with me.
People know that I brought them.
No, I don't think so. I'm always like, oh, bugs.
Oh, this is someone's fault. That's not me. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, I'm like, that's something I don't like about October. And I don't know how they all of a sudden are in the house.
Well, they come in on the fruit.
Is that how they come in?
Yeah, they come in on the skin of fruit, usually like bananas.
Yes. That's my husband's fault. He keeps buying bananas and I keep throwing them away.
There is like some sort of hack that I saw where you like have to like dip the banana stem in wax or something. Like, who has that kind of time? Just don't eat bananas now.
That's that kind of time. You don't need potassium.
Can you imagine like just like lighting some wax specifically for dipping your bananas? Like what kind of life is that?
I could see if you have a candle going anyway and you're just like, candle.
I'm not dipping my bananas in my
I think
nice
they would
candle.
get smelly or something.
Yeah, then it would taste like artificial flavors.
And also, I don't know what I'm doing. I would definitely do it wrong and infect the banana with
I know. Isn't
candle.
It funny how they give you all those hacks? Like you're actually going to do something with your life.
I know. Like, who are these people who are hacking all the time?
Right.
Like, what is their life like? All they're doing is hacking. I'm living.
They don't really do anything. Everything just takes them like a super quick amount of time. Like in the morning they wake up, they do like 5 hacks and their day's done.
But then what do they do? What kind of life do they have?
They just make up more hacks.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
What have you been watching?
Well, last night. So, it's October.
Sure.
It's almost like you want to watch horror movies or something spooky. And I don't like watching really scary movies.
Yeah.
So, it limits what you can watch.
Sure.
The other night we watched the classic Hubie Halloween with my kids. My children love that movie.
Sure.
And I have to say, it's funny.
Okay.
Like it's just,
I've only seen it once years ago. Well, like when it first came out.
It's pretty funny. It's funny to watch with my sons because they both just think it's hysterical and just laugh hysterically watching
They're
it.
Adam Sandler aged.
Absolutely. They are the target audience and it's pretty great. But last night I'm looking at these movies and I'm like, all right, I want to watch something. It's just, the kids are off watching whatever. So I'm like, okay, let's watch Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, no way.
Now, this movie has been on my list of movies to watch on the podcast. And usually I stay away from those kind of things. But, I was like, we're not watching it anytime soon.
Was it so bad?
Oh my God, Kim. I'm embarrassed for the 90s.
I feel like it was really bad.
Kim, it was like, that's the only word I could use to describe it is embarrassing.
Really?
We had to turn it off at a certain
No
point.
way. Because it was so like dramatic, like high drama.
Holy moly. Like, it's so bad. More people should be talking about how bad it is. It's the kind of movie that if you have a good feeling about it and you liked it,
don't watch it.
Don't watch it again. Live with your good feeling.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
Okay.
Never turn it back on. Because Kim, we're talking Tom Cruise alone with that bad wig. And and this, you got Brad Pitt with like weird contacts and they're all foppishly dressed.
Foppish.
And it's like, it's just about sex. Except vampires. Like, it's all just you know what I mean?
Right.
It's so heightened.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. You got like a weird Tom Cruise, like biting Brad Pitt's neck. And,
no.
Oh, yeah.
What's Kirsten Dunst doing there?
Well, that's a whole other just level of, and one day we should absolutely, I don't even know if we should watch this movie. It's so bad. But I will say, you should. She's just so cute. I mean, she's a kid in this.
Yeah.
And her thing, and this is so confidently controversial.
Okay.
So she gets turned when she's a child.
Right.
Which you're not really supposed to do. We didn't even get to the part with Antonio Banderas in it. We couldn't.
Oh, I forgot he was in it.
We
forgot he was a thing.
I know. We had to turn it off. It was too much. But she's turned when she's a kid.
Turn up.
And it's like they become this little family, which I think is funny because it's like 2 gay dads and then her.
Do they love each other?
They have because Tom Cruise, I think Tom Cruise loves
Brad Pitt.
Well,
who doesn't?
I know. Like, there's definitely, and I'm sure in the book it's probably more. In the 90s, we were just starting to get used to the whole gay thing.
We were dipping our toe in.
And this certainly was a big dip Big Dipper into it. And I'm sure that was why people at the time were just, I'm sure that there was a lot of talk about that at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot in there. But yeah, they're like a little gay family and they turn.
I wonder if it's a big movie
duds.
in gay culture.
100 million% it is.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. So little Kirsten Dunst is a little girl, prepubescent, when she's turned into a vampire. And everything's great. She's out there just killing people and she's just like the most vicious little vampire you ever did see. But then she's like literally 30 years old, but in a little kid body.
Okay.
And because she doesn't grow up.
Right.
So she's just starting to like look at women who are, women and feeling like, well, I want that. I want to, and I'll never be that.
Okay.
I have to live, I'm trapped in this hell where I can never grow up and I can only be this kid. And she wants to, she wants to do that. And at one point she kisses Brad Pitt. We stopped it before that. I have heard about this where when they were doing a lot of the, and I remember this, when they were doing a lot of the publicity for this movie, they talked a lot about how that was her first kiss, but it's very messed up. And also just the idea that you have an older woman trapped in like a prepubescent body is in itself a little not good.
Sure.
Right? Like somebody's like looking at that or reading that book and they're feeling a certain way about it.
Okay.
And it's not good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well.
So don't watch Interview with a Vampire. Pick a different spooky movie.
It's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Because when we've talked about it, because Christian Slater's in it.
Yeah, he is. And he looks great in it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's a delight.
And he's not a vampire in it.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But,
I think they just made a show of it too.
Really? I feel like people like talk about it with reverence.
Well, people love that writer, Anne Rice.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I had a roommate who loved her. And
people are funny.
I'm going to tell you this. So I had a roommate. I know we're like going long on the beginning, but I had a roommate who loved her as a writer and she had all the Anne Rice books. And one day, because I am who I am, I just sneakily took a book and she had a picture, like, a book and it has a picture of Anne Rice on the back of it. It's all her dramatic book. And I just really nicely drew two little vampire teeth on her.
Did she notice?
One day she did.
Did she laugh?
She did not laugh. My roommate was very mad at me about that. I thought it was hysterical.
You know how sometimes they tell you, I'm just like, well, just store this in your mind as a reason why people don't like you. Well, you're not for everyone.
But I'm for you. Because you love that story.
Yeah, you are. I do.
You would love it if you came across a book that I had slyly drawn two vampire teeth on.
I remember there was a time when we were in high school, and we'll get to the movie after this. There was a time in high school where our group of friends for every birthday wrapped up the Roseanne Barr book and gave it to each other as a birthday present.
I forgot about that.
Isn't that so funny?
It is so funny. And we would like prank each other on our lockers and like decorate the lockers.
Yeah. But I just remember like always every birthday someone would get that damn book.
I wonder who has it. Do you have it?
I don't think I do.
We should have done something like we wrote in it or something, but we weren't that creative. It took a lot just to wrap it and remember.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man, somebody out there has it. If any of our friends listen to this, any of our friends from high school actually listen to this podcast.
And you have the Roseanne Barr book.
And you have the Roseanne Barr book, you need to reach out to one of us and let us know about it. Okay, cool. Well, you ready to talk about a movie?
Yes, I guess I am.
It's my pick. Let's go.
All right.
Okay, are you ready to go back to 1987?
Yeah, man.
So this movie came out August 14th, 1987.
They release a lot of Halloween movies in August. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they're priming the pump.
Gross. What are your earrings?
They're little Darth Vaders.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. So yes, this movie came out in 1987. We were 10 years old.
We were.
It was PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, I remember being just a big deal. Because you could also imagine we were all home from school. It was summer vacation. And it was definitely a movie that was talked about a lot. I know for myself amongst the neighborhood kids.
Horror movie? Yeah,
it falls in that category for sure. It was a PG-13 movie, but the people who made it said that that might have held it back a little bit at the box office. It only made $3.7 million. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find out that's the gross. I don't know what it netted. So, I couldn't find that information. But when it came out, it was up against Lost Boys. Mm. So that had come out 2 weeks earlier that same summer.
All right.
So they felt like some of the older teenagers were a little bit more drawn to that movie.
Sure.
Than to this movie. And it was also compared a lot to The Goonies. Also because it shares a mom with The Goonies. The same woman, Mary Ellen Trainor, who is the mom on The Goonies of Bran and Michael. Mm. Right? Is Mikey?
Michael.
Is also the main mom in this movie.
Okay. She's the main mom.
She's the main mom. This movie scored 56% on Rotten Tomatoes and 61% on Metacritic.
All right.
So not that great. Definitely, nope. It was not reviewed well at the time. Over time, it certainly has a nostalgia to it because people do love this movie. It lives in the hearts and minds of people in our age group.
Can I ask you a question?
You may.
This wasn't your original pick, right? This
was not my original pick.
This is something you've subbed.
This is something I subbed in for sure because I felt like my original movie that I had, I just didn't feel like it was horror-y enough. Okay. And I didn't feel as close to it as I do this movie. Okay. Because I definitely, although I was scared of this movie, this was the kind of movie that there was a lot of talk about amongst the kids. Mm-hmm. So I knew, again, going into it, knew a lot, but still was a little bit freaked out by some of it. Okay. Which is probably going to seem ridiculous when we watch it, and you're just going to realize what a freaking scaredy pants I was.
Well, okay. You're 10 years old. You're allowed to be scared.
Yeah. This movie reviewed super poorly. I couldn't find an Ebert review of it.
He was like, I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, he might have been like, I'm not gonna. But Vincent Canby of the New York Times called it a feature-length commercial for a joke store that sells not great rubber monster masks. Do you have any idea what this movie is?
A feature film for a joke store that sells not great monster masks.
Yes. And I will also tell you, so they had the director, whose name is Fred Decker, he has said that he really feels like it wasn't marketed well and it probably should have been picked up by someone like Disney, but it wasn't. It was not Universal. It was some other place that did it. But they had this ad campaign, and I think that you, as a marketing person, will appreciate how terrible this tagline is. So the marketing campaign featured pictures of different monsters, all with the tagline.
Is it Monster Squad?
It is.
Okay.
Did you see? You had to have seen this movie.
Yeah.
All right,
Wolfman's got nards, right?
Absolutely, Wolfman's got nards. But let me tell you this tagline from it, because I thought this was hysterically bad. Because there's some taglines or ads that you feel like you can see the pitch room when they're pitching different campaigns, and it's so hokey and terrible, but it's just whatever. So the one they went with was, again, all pictures of the different monsters, and it says, you know who to call when you have ghosts, but who do you call when you have monsters?
Okay. I like it.
I know, but Casey, the weird ad rep, just like...
Is Fred Savage in this?
No, but his big brother from Wonder Years is in it.
Oh,
the kid who
Dwayne.
Yeah.
Is that his name on the show? Dwayne?
Yes. Or Wayne. Wayne.
Okay.
Dwayne Wade. So, what's your memory of this movie?
I don't really remember too much about it.
Except Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't remember that much. I don't remember. I don't feel like I've seen it since I was a kid.
Oh, fun.
I think we own it. I feel like my husband was going to be happy.
Well, I was going to say, I think that this might be a movie that your husband might want to watch with us.
Maybe.
Because this is certainly, he was this age when it came out as well. I'm sure he saw this movie, and I have this feeling that he loved this movie.
Yeah, I have a feeling the same.
Because what I found out going into this, and it's not that I found this out, knew this. There's a thing with boys, and I realized this when we were teenagers, we worked at a toy store.
Yes.
And you would see little boys come in, and they were just obsessed with something. And at the toy store, it was usually you had the dinosaur kids who knew all about dinosaurs. You had the marine biologists who knew all about the sharks.
The worst ones.
Oh, don't say that. My son is a shark kid.
Sorry.
You had the train kids.
Ugh, no, that's the worst one.
That's the worst one. And you had the Playmobil kids, and they were just kids. They were just rich kids who had a lot of Playmobil.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but they weren't. But I feel like the shark kids, the dinosaur kids, the train kids. My brother was an airplane kid.
Okay.
They just knew every little thing about it. You know, what was your brother into? He had to have been into something.
See, my brother was like a mechanical kid, and he like took stuff apart and put it back together and things like that. Like my grandma would literally buy him things at yard sales to take apart.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So alarm clocks, radios. One time she gave him an old air conditioning to take apart, and he like stabbed it with a screwdriver, and all like the freon went.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So that was his thing when he was a kid, like all the pieces and parts and springs and screws and all that stuff.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I just think there is just a little bit of tism in every single little boy. They're all into something like that.
Right.
But one of the things that boys get into is monsters. And particularly because when looking into this movie and doing research for it, there were just these in-depth written things all about the monsters that appear in this, because this movie features what are called now the Universal monsters.
The classic horror monsters.
And they all come from Universal Pictures. They own all of them.
Right.
Can you name me some of them?
The Wolfman.
Sure. The one with nards.
The one with nards. The one that is often referred to as Frankenstein.
Yes.
The vampire, Dracula.
Sure.
The thing with gills or face.
The creature from the Black Lagoon.
Face wings.
Face wings. But like Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, right. Okay.
They also had the Invisible Man.
A mummy.
Yeah.
Sure. So, Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what movie does a really good job with those is the Hotel Transylvania movies.
I was going to say, I love Hotel Transylvania. It does a great job with all of those movies. But what's funny with them, and we'll see, I'm kind of interested to watch in this, is that, it features these iconic monsters. This movie features Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. However, there were licensing issues, so they couldn't be exact.
Okay.
So
they're Bobo.
Right. So the Gill Man looked a little different. The Frankenstein has the bolts in his forehead and not in the sides of his head. Like, yeah.
Weird.
But what's interesting.
I can't believe you can trademark bolts in the neck.
You can trademark a lot of things. I mean, if you think about it, I was thinking about this driving over. So one of the things with Universal that, as I was looking into this, so these movies, they were a series of horror films that were produced by Universal Pictures and released between 1931 and 1956. I actually think 1956. So the thing with them that they focused on at Universal was they were all based on some sort of classic literature. So Dracula's from literature and history, right? But I think there was a book, Dracula.
And history. No, there is. Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. And then you have Frankenstein with Mary Shelley.
Right.
But all of them have this basis in some sort of literary lore. So I was just thinking, before Universal made these iconic images of these characters, what did people think? People didn't have that image in their head. And I mean, they're coming up to being 100 years old, these monsters. And to this day, they're super famous. I mean, they certainly are pop culture icons. They're part of American culture. In fact, the Universal they're doing an expansion of their Orlando theme park, and they're making a dark universe portion.
Okay.
And there's going to be a ride that features them. And I was watching some TikToks that was talking about it, and they were saying that the animatronics on it are these super advanced animatronics. Okay. And they showed like a little clip of the Wolfman that's going to be on there, but it's all of those characters. So it just shows that even today, they're still relevant. Yeah. Which I just think is really, really
It's interesting too, because they've almost become, I mean, I guess you said it, when they're trademarked and you can't really use them, but there's a brand. Frankenstein is a brand.
It's a brand, and Universal actually made, when they re-released them, they kind of released them into these series that you could buy like on DVD.
Yeah, we have them.
I'm sure you do. And they were branded as Universal Classic Monsters. Yes. So they have their own brand as well that goes along with them. So I think that I thought that was kind of interesting. But I think, again, that the people who love those monsters, I mean, there were magazines dedicated to those monsters. I know I've talked before about, I love Dana Gould, the comedian. He was a monster kid. He talks about that stuff all the time. Just loving those magazines and loving learning about all of those things, because now horror stuff is everywhere.
Yes.
But you think back then it was a little bit more limited in what was available. So I just think it'd be interesting to go back in time and see how people reacted to these movies when they first came out.
Right.
Some other fun facts about this movie that I would love to share with you. This movie features as Wolfman the one and only Uncle Rico, who... Oh, man, Uncle Rico, he gets around. Well, he was in the one with Val Kilmer, where he's really smart.
Right.
What was that called?
Real Genius.
Real Genius. He was in Real Genius. He's also in this. So I know you were really excited when he was in Real Genius.
Was I?
You were like...
Well, I didn't believe you. I didn't believe it was him.
Yes, but it's definitely Uncle Rico. And Uncle Rico's definitely in this. Also, Liam Neeson was paid for a bit part in this movie, but it was never shot.
Oh.
But you know how I feel about Liam Neeson.
How do you feel about him?
I feel like there was one point in time where I couldn't remember his name as I was trying to fall asleep, and it kept me up all night trying to think of his name. Why I didn't just sit up and Google him, I don't know. But then I got all in my head, like, why can't I remember this name?
Oh,
obviously, I have a brain problem. With you. I thought I had a stroke and I lost Liam Neeson in my brain. Okay. But he's there. He's always there.
I don't really care for Liam Neeson. The only movie I like him in is the Christmas one.
Oh, I love Liam Neeson. He's wonderful. Also, this movie features a song in it. The main song is called Rock Until You Drop.
All right.
And it is sung by Michael Sembello. And when I saw this man, do you remember the song that he sang this season?
Yes, I do remember that you talked about him before.
I can tell you what it is because I had to go back and look because I could not remember it off the top of my head. So he sang the song Maniac from Flashdance.
Right.
She's a maniac, maniac. And then he also sang a song called Gravity in Cocoon. Gravity.
Oh, right. It's killing me. It's killing me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to listen for his one. It's probably going to be, I'm going to rock until you drop. It's going to sound exactly.
Monster Squad. Oh, Monster Squad.
So I'm very excited to see that part in this. You said Wolfman's got nards. Yeah. That is a very famous line from this movie.
Sure.
From the kid that's on the team called, the squad, called Horace.
Uh-huh.
So the Horace actually died. The kid who played him died 10 years after. This movie was made of pneumonia.
Oh, no.
Tragically. The main boy in this movie, he went on to he made a documentary called Wolfman's Got Nards.
Nice.
I don't know what it's about, but it's
pretty evident what it's about.
It's pretty evident. It's about nards and Wolfman.
Hairy nards.
Yes. Well, when I think, and I remember that line being a line that everybody said, and all of a sudden everyone's saying nards after this movie came out. But the thing, I was not so super interested in any of the monster part of this movie. In fact, that part of this movie kind of creeped me out a little bit. There were certainly very creepy things like that in this movie. This movie has some other things going for it that were appealing to little Emily. Mm-hmm. First, it's got some bad words in it.
Sure.
Like nards. Sure. But also this is a movie where I learned what a virgin was. Because that plays heavily into the plot.
Always does.
Always does. The other thing is, the guy who played Dracula in this.
Hot.
A little hot.
Okay.
I feel like I had a thing for Dracula. Also, Rudy. The bad boy. Remember the bad boy on the crew? Oh, yeah.
So, okay. Well, I'll see it. We'll talk about it in the other half if it comes up. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but there's a bad guy kid in the group that becomes a part of the team. And, you know, I liked it. I was interested to see if any of them had really gone on and had bigger careers from this. None of them really did. Rudy is now, the biggest thing on his thing is that he's an ordained minister.
Who isn't?
Who isn't? The main boy in this, it sounds like he does a lot of the Comic Cons. He's really still living off of this movie.
Yeah.
He's done some other things, but not really.
Does that make you sad?
I guess not.
So the Comic-Con thing, though, specifically.
Like when I see pictures of people at Comic-Con all
Yeah,
together.
they have like a booth and there, there's people waiting in line to pay $5 or whatever to get their autograph and a picture.
I mean, yeah, it makes me feel a little bit like, this is what, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, this is, those people, those actors had to have a reckoning within themselves. That's what I see. I see a reckoning within themselves to say, like, listen, this is, not everybody even gets one big thing. I had a big thing and people love it. So this is my, this is my opportunity to make some money. I hear an agent saying, listen, like, you need to do this.
They don't have agents.
You don't think they have agents?
No. Oh, honey, no.
Aww. But yeah, I just feel like there's a reckoning within themselves to be like, yeah, this is the thing that I did. And this is a thing that's still going to be lucrative to me. I made however much money off of it.
But what if you don't? I mean, think about, you've been to trade shows, you've been to craft shows, you've been to shows where it's basically like walk from booth to booth to booth. And some of them just get no business.
First of all, I could never.
Would you go up to, if someone's booth was pretty empty, would you go up and pay money just to make them feel better? I would.
I remember. So this is similar to that. Back in the day, there used to be things called record stores.
I remember.
So
I was there.
Yes. So when I was in college, I worked on South Street in Philadelphia, and they had a big tower record store there. Yeah. And they would have bands that would play in the store. They would have, people come in signing records when records came out. And I remember one day they had all these signs up everywhere, and it was because Glenn Danzig was there signing things, and nobody was in line for him. And he was just sitting there sad, Glenn Danzig. So I went through and I met Glenn Danzig, and
you bought his record?
I did.
Aww.
I know. I felt really sad about it. But then I was just like, well, then it's a story.
Yeah.
Glenn Danzig.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But, I feel really uncomfortable. I would never go to a Comic-Con thing.
No?
I don't think, it just makes me so uncomfortable going, because again, I go to a place where I'm like, you don't want to meet me.
Well, no, they don't want to meet you, but they want your $5.
Yeah, they might want my $5.
I've seen him with, this is totally off topic, sorry. Where Sean Astin.
He was the person I was thinking about too.
And he's like a dream.
And he doesn't need, he can't need any of that money.
Can she? He doesn't need it. Right.
But he's just he wants to be with the people, maybe.
He wants to be where the people are. Yeah.
Because that's got to be part of it too.
Sure. I saw they just had one called 90s Con.
Okay.
And Lance Bass was there.
Lance Bass.
He just took his whole family to Disney too. I treasure him.
Yeah, I treasure him as well. Okay, we should, in the coming year, we're going to go to one.
All right.
And we're going to get pictures. We're going to pick one that goes along with our podcast.
Okay.
We're going to go out and we're going to do the thing. It's going to be really hard for us. I feel like we're going to it's going to be bad.
We'll have cocktails.
But I'm putting this, we don't believe in a bucket list. This is a challenge.
Okay.
I'm challenging us to go to some sort of con in the next year where we have to meet these people.
What if we become con heads after that? We're all into it.
We won't.
We might.
Okay. Well, we're doing it. So I'm
excited. They probably
excited.
sell lots of tchotchkes. We love tchotchkes.
We do love a tchotch.
Everything's kind of vampy, campy.
It is.
We like that.
I feel like my sister would love these kind of things. Like she would definitely.
You can come, Heather.
Heather, you're invited. But you have to help. Heather, you're assigned.
Find one.
Okay, well, let's go watch this movie. I think it'll be fun.
All right. Bye. The Monster Squad.
They're coming out to break your balls.
What?
I don't know.
That's not part of the song.
That could be with this movie. You don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, man. Well, there's the Monster Squad.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel.
We don't have much to say.
I feel like I actually have a lot to say about this movie.
It was fine.
I mean, This is so 80s.
Yeah.
So 80s.
Yeah.
If you want to know the good and the bad and the ugly of the 80s, watch this movie. Like, from the beginning, it's just, first of all, there's a kid in this movie who they call Fat Kid.
Yeah.
Like, that's his name.
They refer to him as that, as his name.
Yes. His actual name is Horace.
Right.
Which, not a great name.
No, what's a nickname for Horace?
Whore.
It's not. Ace.
Ace. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
a
nice.
cool nickname.
Horace. That's what you should have gone with instead of Fat Kid. But then I was thinking about, because I was like, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. Then I'm like, well, in Goonies, they refer to one character as Chunk.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
That's just what they did back in the 80s. If you were fat,
you got a fat nickname.
you got a fat nickname. And it wasn't very cool.
No.
Also, within the first 3 minutes of this movie, they say homoing out.
Yeah.
They use the F word several times. So
they say wolf dork.
well, I'm not against that stuff.
I am against the word
dork for penis.
For penis, yes.
Okay. I'm not. I don't have a problem with that.
Really?
Although, I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I feel like that kind of stuff is funny. My overall feeling with this movie is that it just doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, I see the correlation of Goonies, but only because they're kids on an adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
I think, with this movie, at its core, it's, I don't know. Again, so we're going to take all these universal monsters. So you have Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, Fishman.
Fishman.
Yeah. And first of all, they're all friends. They're they're in a monster squad.
Yeah, they're tight.
They're actually the monster squad.
Right. Even though really only one of them legitimately talks. And that's Dracula.
That's Dracula.
I mean, Frankenstein learns how to talk. But he's real dumb.
He's mentally challenged.
Yeah,
because he was dumb.
He was clearly lobotomized or something, right?
Yeah.
That's what that scar on his head is from.
Yeah, he's not right.
Right.
He's not 100%.
So Wolfman doesn't talk.
When he's a wolf. When he's a man, he's...
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
They don't want to hang out with him when he's a man.
No, they don't like him when he's a man.
No.
They like him when he's a wolf man.
Right. So Wolfman doesn't talk. Seaman doesn't talk.
Don't call him Seaman.
Mr. Seaman doesn't talk.
The
other one doesn't
The
talk.
mummy doesn't really talk.
Doesn't talk.
At all.
No. Can't talk.
Nobody.
Won't talk.
Will never.
Frankenstein talks a little bit.
He learns how to talk.
Baby. That's what he says.
Bogus. Yeah. So they're not... So yeah, the whole premise of this is that they're all friends.
Yep. Yeah. But but are they friends because they refer to Dracula as the boss?
Right.
So they just working a bad job.
No, but they're all into it. They all want evil to rule. The idea with this is that evil and good have a balance, but then once every 100 years, Kim, there's an amulet that if you get the amulet and you say some sort of German saying...
It opens a portal.
It opens a portal. It opens a portal to... some dimension that all the bad things can go to.
Including fences.
It sucks things in indiscriminately because in the early part of this movie, it sucks in the woman who was speaking the words who you think would be good, but she gets sucked in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. The virgin.
The virgin. So we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so the idea is that there's this balance, and then once every 100 years, if the bad guys can destroy this amulet, which is 100% good, right? Then they can tilt the balance and evil can rule.
Rule the world.
Rule the world and be in charge of everything, which I always think is what would you do? How are you going to rule the world?
Well, usually with death and destruction.
Usually with death and destruction. Yeah, 100%. And get all the riches and everything else.
But they didn't anticipate coming across these kids who just so happen to have a little clubhouse where they hang out and talk about monsters.
Like a bunch of big dorks.
Yeah. And they call themselves the Monster Squad.
That's right. So these kids, I can't understand how old they are because they look like middle schoolers, right?
Yeah, they're probably fifth graders.
You think they're supposed to be fifth graders in this movie?
Probably, or sixth graders.
Because they call the one kid that they bring into the club Rudy, who's the bad kid who smokes. and maybe drinks beer.
His name's Rudy? I wrote down his name was AJ.
Oh.
Why?
I don't know. I think his name's Rudy.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
You wanted it to be AJ.
I don't know why.
You wanted it to be AJ. Well, right when that kid came, so this kid who's the bad kid, who, as I said before, I had a little crush on in this movie. Right when he came on the screen, Kim goes, "Oh, I remember him."
Yeah. He was in Kids Incorporated, guys.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I don't remember that show at all, but I know what it is.
You know what Kids Incorporated is?
I didn't watch it.
Really?
No, I didn't watch it, but I remember listening to, somebody had the tapes.
Yeah.
That
everybody.
I didn't have them, but somebody else had them that I listened to. Was it on Disney Channel? Like, what was it on?
I have no idea.
Saturday morning or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't remember it.
And they just basically sang covers of songs. They're like Kids Bop of the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he comes on the screen and they're like, well, Rudy's in junior high. But then inexplicably he wants to hang out in this club.
And also Rudy smokes and drinks.
And he may or may not have had some sort of sex.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's taking pictures of the neighbor girl in the nude.
Which I think is the sister of one of the kids on the Monster Squad.
Right.
Right. So, yeah. So that's the ragtag team.
Well, fat kid.
And then there's like
AJ, a.k.a.
Rudy. Then there's the main kid and his
Sean.
friend. And then there's a little boy.
Eugene. And then the sister.
Phoebe.
Presumably is in it too.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Pete the dog.
So they all hang out. They talk about monsters. But then, so this is the funny part. So one of the things that get this whole thing going is that the mom, who's the mom from Goonies, goes to a, was it like a yard sale?
Yes.
And someone had found this old book and it was written by Dr. Van Helsing.
Right.
And she gets it and gives it to her son because she's like, "Oh, I know you're into monsters. You'll like this." And he's like way into it. Well, then you see that there's a missed call. There's a message written on a whiteboard
from Avocado.
Well, it says Mr. Al-Jura or something.
Yeah.
Al Jazeera call.
Right.
But right away, the kid looks at the name and he's like, and he starts trying to unscramble it. Which, why?
Right.
It doesn't look like it needs to be unscrambled. It just looks like a different name.
Also, too, if some man calls for your son.
Right.
You ask the questions. You find out what they want.
Right.
You don't just be like, "Hey, Sean, call this guy back. Call this grown man back about some business."
Well, it says on there that it's like she thinks maybe he's from the school, but he has questions about the book.
Right.
But I'd be like, well, how do you know my son has this book?
Also, I paid for the book. I bought the book.
I have the book.
I can tell you about the book.
Right.
You don't need to talk to my son.
Right. What are your questions? Why do you want to talk to my son?
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, so they also bring into this, there's all these weird side plots in this. There's the whole side plot with the mom and the dad that are having marriage problems.
Right. Unnecessary.
Then you have the dad who's a cop and his partner. And they're just,
besties.
They're besties and they're kind of funny. I like them. I want the movie about them.
Yeah. Let's learn more about them
and their relationship.
Sadly, though, the partner
is murdered later on. The other thing that they drop in this, so there's a neighbor, scary German guy.
Right.
Who I guess you need because the book by Van Helsing is in German. So they need someone who can
speak German.
Mm-hmm. But why? Why did they make it that? You know what I mean? And then it's like they drop that the neighbor, the scary German guy, well, he's actually faced real evil because he has a tattoo because he was in a concentration camp.
Right. And the kid goes, "You must know a lot about monsters, huh?" And then the guy gets this deep, far off look into the future. He's like, "I sure do."
And then close up on his tattoo of his number,
I know.
Oh my God.
And again, this movie's for kids, so it's not like they're getting the subtleties of that.
But it bounces all over the place because is it for kids? I mean, the language that they use in this alone is bad. It's not just sometimes in a kid's movie where it's not like in Goonies where they say, "Oh shit, what?" Yeah. You know what I mean? They say bad words. At one point, Dracula calls the little cute girl
the 5-year-old a bitch to her face.
Right. It's crazy. And then let's talk about the virgin part of this.
Okay.
So the way that you open this portal is you have to have a virgin
read the German,
which Kim, you so astutely noted. Why does it have to be a girl?
I don't know. You've got all these virgin boys.
They're obviously virgin boys.
Yeah.
All they do is talk about monsters in their treehouse.
And they're in 5th grade.
And they're in 5th grade.
Right.
But no one thinks of them. It's like, oh, we have to ask the hot big sister.
Yeah, of course.
If she can be the virgin.
It only matters, and we have to make a big deal about it and make her answer on the spot. And both answers are wrong because we know that's a trick question.
Right. And so she's sitting there with all these boys around her asking her if she's a virgin. And then she doesn't want to answer because obviously she shouldn't have to.
Right.
But then they have a picture of her naked.
That they blackmail her with.
Right. And that's how they get her to admit.
Help them. And to help them.
Right. So she goes and it's like, she's trying to say the words to open up the portal, but it doesn't work, Kim.
Why?
Because she's not a virgin.
It's true.
Because it was just Steve doesn't count.
Right.
Which I get.
Oh, yeah.
So then they get the little girl,
right,
the 5-year-old
Phoebe,
and she does it.
But it takes Eugene, another 5-year-old, to be like, is she a virgin?
What's a virgin?
Right.
Yeah. Which, let's not. Let's not talk about this so much.
Right. Well, also, yeah, I just feel like that was such a big thing in the 80s, the whole virgin versus not virgin thing. And there's no right answer. And you were damned if you do and damned if you don't.
But I think the thing that's weird about this is PG-13.
Yeah.
This is, and honestly, it's more towards the 13. It is a kid. This is not for an adult.
It's about kids.
And this isn't even older teens are watching this movie.
No.
This is kids. The stars of this movie are children.
Right.
And yet they're saying all of these things. They didn't need to include the fact this thing could have been written a whole way different. You didn't have to have a virgin involved.
Doesn't Hocus Pocus, isn't that something with a virgin too?
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Enough with the virgins. Right. Nobody cares what your business is. Okay. And let's just,
right.
Let's enough with it. Enough. But yeah, that's kind of messed up. The other thing in this, so Dracula always has to have a coven of ladies that he turns into vampires, and they're all dressed in white and they're really creepy looking. The thing that is funny to me about this is that it triggers in me this memory from when I was middle school age. I used to babysit, and I was babysitting at this house when I was a kid. And it was, during the spooky season. So their house was all decorated for Halloween. And they had these just cutouts or something that they hung up all around their house, right?
Okay.
They would have scary cat over here and whatever.
Like the cardboardy
some bats. Yeah. And on the back of their door, they had a thing that was a cartoon version of 3 women in white, women vampires in white, but it wasn't it was a little bit scary. And I got myself so freaked out by it. I made my mom come over or my sister or somebody come over because I wouldn't go by the door. I wouldn't look at it. And after the kids went to bed, I remember just getting myself so scared about it. Yeah.
Interesting. They were witches?
They weren't witches. They were the lady vampire all in white.
Weird.
There was the same thing in this movie where there's 3 of them and they're all with their arms out.
People were like, oh, okay, I get it. You have Frankenstein, you have a black cat, you have a jack-o'-lantern. You have 3
virgin Draculas.
Ladies.
3 lady Draculas, all scary, wanting to pull you in. I know, it was, but I just remember, I don't know why, it just freaked me out so much. And that's what I think of with this. This movie definitely scared me when I was a kid because it has some scary parts to it.
Yeah, it's funny because when you talked about it earlier, I really didn't have that many memories of it, but watching it, I fully remembered it.
Right.
As something that was very familiar.
Right.
Yeah. All the pieces, parts.
But in the beginning where there's skeletons are popping out of the ground and pulling them in, that's pretty scary. The mummy's face, the mummy's pretty scary.
That mummy's scary.
And that mummy, good job.
Yeah.
We all agreed. Me and Kim, all of us.
All of us. The whole group.
The whole crew. We agreed that the mummy guy did the best job.
Yeah, he
was the
excellent
scariest.
walk. He definitely practiced, and he got his role based on talent alone.
He did. He earned it.
Mummy walking talent.
And he was like, I'm not phoning it in.
Right. I might not be able to talk, but I will be the best thing about this movie.
Yeah, you will remember me.
That's right.
And we do. We remember him. He did a great job. But yeah, he was pretty...
What about the songs?
Oh my God. Michael Cimbello, he brings it. That's why he was a commodity in the 80s. They're like, you want a song in your movies? The only person you can call is Michael Cimbello. He knows what to do.
He will write you a non-hit.
That's just there.
Right.
And sounds okay.
And then there's a rap at the end.
Which he does that rap.
He does that too?
I feel like it's got to be him.
No.
I think he does the music for it. It's him.
Are you sure?
I mean, I'm fairly certain that that's him. It's if it's not him, it's some other like middle-aged white dude.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely white rap for sure.
Like, why would they bring somebody else in? Why would we bring somebody else in? We have Cimbello.
We have Cimbello. Just use them.
Yeah,
just call him up. Tell him we need an end song.
Yeah, but then the song that he sings is like "Rock Till Your Feet Come Off" or something.
Monster Squad.
Well, that's the one at the end. But the one in the middle, it's like "Rock till your feet come off."
Something till you die.
Something till you die. Yeah, it's not a good movie at all. But I also, which I'm all about a fun movie.
Yeah.
But I feel
it's not fun enough.
It's not fun. Like
it's not
either,
fun enough.
That's what I mean. Like either lean into being a kid's monster movie and you could make that movie still and it could be a little scary.
Right.
You know, kids need that. Kids need to be scared shitless sometimes. But you could like soften the edges of it with the language and everything else. And it would still be a decent movie for kids, like a Goosebumps kind of movie.
Sure.
But they weren't doing that. Like either that or go hard, go the other way, get in some like older teenagers and make it like a full R.
Full R.
Full R. Because that's why I feel like it's teetering on the edge of being a full R. Like some of the way that these kids talk. Yeah. Should be full R. Okay. It's unbecoming. Like it wouldn't be on, like it does not fit, this movie does not fit into a genre. Like it's not a family film.
Yeah, even today, I mean, a lot of it would be bleeped on TV.
Oh my gosh, so much of it would be bleeped on TV.
Yeah.
It's not.
Do you think you could say wolf dork on TV?
I mean, I hope so. I will. On TV. Yes. Next opportunity I have.
All of a sudden we see you like on the news behind a weather person. You're like, wolf dork.
You're like, that's my girl.
Right. Yeah, get it.
Yeah, like it's just not, I don't know who this movie is for. Oh. I really don't.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is Emily.
Okay, say it.
So, Emily proceeded to tell us that the Dracula in this is hot.
Yes.
And tall.
He is. Both those things.
He's not.
Well, he's tall.
He was tall, yes, and had large hands. But he was not cute. He was middle-aged.
He's not middle-aged.
Yes, he was.
No.
And he was not handsome at all.
He was handsome.
No, he wasn't handsome. He looked like Creed from The Office.
Stop it. Well, I sent Kim a real hot picture of him.
He's not hot in that picture there. He looks like
let me tell you about this guy though. Hold it. This guy, and I had done some research on him because obviously I was interested in knowing more
you want
about.
To be your Dracula husband.
I need to know more about this guy. So this guy's name is, hold it. Let me find it.
Hot Dracula?
Hot Dracula. No, it's not Hot Dracula. Duncan Ruger.
Okay.
So he's Canadian.
Sure.
But I think he's also Russian. He's Russian Canadian.
As you are.
Yes. But you know that his portrayal of Dracula is actually considered one of the best on-screen interpretations.
Stop. By who? You?
That's what I found in my research, that he is those things. But Duncan Ruger is kind of an interesting person because he is also a very well-renowned painter. Like an artist.
Okay.
So he's got all these accolades for being an artist. But before he started acting, I don't think he does any sort of acting anymore. He's really more of an artist. He's not dead. He's alive.
Okay. Close to it.
No. I think he looks almost like a little bit like Viggo. He's a little Viggo Mortensen E.
Okay.
That's what I think.
All right.
Okay. But he was a figure skater.
No.
Yes.
You have a type.
But yeah, I thought he was great. I enjoyed him.
All right.
Okay.
I trust you.
Okay. But I mean, overall, I just don't think this is a kid's movie. I don't think this is an adult movie. Yeah. I don't know what this movie is. If you were born in the 80s, you can watch this movie because you will understand it.
Yeah, you get where it's coming from and where you came from.
Right. You know that world that these kids are in.
Right.
And you understand
Yeah, then there's a lot of bad parenting in this movie. Aside the fact that the parents are fully, fighting in front of their children, they also run free at 10 p.m.
They do. That's why this movie is why they had to have those public service announcements. It's like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where their kids are? Because these parents did not know where their kids
didn't care either.
Did not even care. The other great parenting in this is the little boy in it, Eugene. He's like scared, and like that kid's like simple or something.
He's not.
He goes, he's a little boy. He's just a little boy. And he goes to his parents in the middle of the night. He's scared. He goes in his parents' room and he's like, Daddy, there's a creature in my closet.
There was.
And the dad's all just like, okay, monsters, get out of here. Okay, you gotta go to bed. He's like, so all the monsters are gone, right? And Eugene's like, no. And he points to his closet. And the dad opens the closet, doesn't even look in there, but we can see that there is a monster in the closet. The mummy is in there.
And he mocks the kid.
He mocks the kid afterwards. And he's just like, if you think you're sleeping in our bed, you're crazy. Go to sleep.
Do you think how do they get to know Eugene? Like, how do these older kids get to be friends with, because through the little sister or something?
Well,
or is it just neighborhood kids?
Neighborhood. I think it's neighborhood. Like, I know when I grew up, we had kids of all different ages who were in our like neighborhood crew.
Okay.
So I could see it being that for sure. But yeah, if you're from the 80s, you should definitely rewatch this movie. And if you loved this movie because you grew up in the 80s, that's okay.
Oh, we also talked about AJ /
Rudy. His actual name is Rudy. Yes.
He is in shop class because he's a bad kid.
Yeah, that's what bad kids do.
And he's making wooden stakes and silver bullets in shop class.
Yes.
Can you imagine if they found a kid making bullets in a shop class today?
First of all,
the school would be locked down.
Oh my God. The FBI would be involved.
Right.
First of all, they'd be like, how did this kid get a mold to make bullets?
Right.
Do you have that in your shop class?
Right.
Did he make it? Did he bring it from home?
Right. Where did this come from?
Mr.
Calvert.
Mr. Calvert, how could you let this happen? Right. This is your watch. And he's just like, dude, I got a class full of 12-year-olds and I got power machines.
Right. They're all I have 25 kids using power tools right now. I can't monitor everything.
Right.
You don't think I'm stressed? You don't think I'm stressed out?
This is the most stressful job in middle school. Right. I should be paid the most.
Right.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. But our shop teacher was weird. Mr. Calvert.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not listening. He's definitely not listening. But yeah, that guy was a little bit.
All of them were weird. Remember the art teacher?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Mr.
I don't know where they got these weird middle school teachers.
Yeah. All bald.
Well, I mean, I could see why the stress of just having to deal with middle school kids.
Yeah.
Like, we were pretty terrible.
I can't imagine being a shop teacher.
No, it seems
all
so
those
stressful.
Fingers on your conscience.
I know. I can't even imagine being like having my kids and teaching them how to use like one tool.
No.
Like that would be too stressful.
Right, we had to make a full lamp.
I know. And then you have like kids in a back room with like stains.
Turpentine.
Right. It's too much. I don't think they do shop in middle school anymore.
They shouldn't.
It's not
I support that.
Yeah, it's taken out.
Yeah. I mean, you had one kid got to use the lathe.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
That was like, you had to like submit to be able to use the lathe. Lathe's not, yeah. But there was an injury when I was in school.
Really?
Yes.
And did somebody have to push the button?
Yes. Mr. Calvert did.
Oh.
So it was, I'm going to say it who it was because they're not listening. No. It was Tim Uri. And remember that like sander that like went around, the spin sander or something?
The circular
sander? Is that what it's called? No. I don't know. Disc sander?
Disc, yeah.
Disc.
Maybe, sure.
Okay. So he was doing a little disc sander. Well, the thing he was sanding flipped up and his hand went into it. And I just remember like Mr. Calvert, serious as fuck. Like hitting the button to stop.
This is what I trained for!
Just like, because they're everywhere in our shop class, there were buttons everywhere.
Right, and it shut everything down.
Shut everything down at once.
Which is probably equally as dangerous.
Oh, yeah. If you're in the middle of sawing something. I was on the bandsaw at the time.
You were.
I remember because I was like, all of a sudden it wasn't working. And I remember him just like screaming like, everybody stop, like, nobody move.
Did Tim Uri get permanently disfigured?
No, I don't think so. He had to go to the nurse, and I think it's just like he got like an abrasion on the side of him.
Oh.
But it was.
I could have loved him through that. I had a big crush on him.
Oh my gosh, you're saying this publicly.
I mean, you said he's not listening. You said, but
I
you
hope he is. I hope he is. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about people like that, but I don't care.
It's fine.
Who cares? Okay. So do you have anything else you want to say about this movie?
No, there's really not much to say.
No. But, yeah, go watch it, but don't watch it with your kids.
All right.
No new kid should ever watch this movie.
All right. Are you going to connect this later in a moment?
Oh, yes, I am. I did the work. Okay, so we're going to start with Mr. Tom Noonan, who plays Frankenstein in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, that's who we're starting with. Because honestly, out of all the people in this movie, he's had a decent career.
Okay.
Yeah, you would probably actually recognize him if you looked at him without makeup.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tom Noonan, who is Frankenstein, he was in that show The Leftovers.
Yes.
With Justin Theroux.
Ooh.
Justin Theroux was in Beetlejuice with Winona Ryder.
Sure.
Who was in Heathers with Christian Slater.
Very nice.
Thank you. I was very proud of you for that.
Yeah. That's a hard one to find.
It's going to be hard for you to find a good picture of Tom Noonan to put in there.
It's not.
Although, like I said, you will definitely, like when you look him up, you will definitely recognize him.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that's our show.
That's it, guys.
Okay. Don't tell Tim Ury what Kim said before.
You can. I have a husband now. I'm fine. You can't hurt me anymore, Tim Ury.
Okay. Well, don't tell Kim's husband. Because I feel like he'll want to have a conversation about it.
He doesn't know who that is.
Okay.
But anyway.
So you should follow us, subscribe to us, find us, and tell us how great we are.
Don't find us.
Not in real life.
That's ominous.
Online.
Okay. Yeah.
Find us online.
Stay a distance, please.
And tell us that we're really great. That's all we really want.
Yeah. Validation.
Validation.
That's all we really want.
Okay. Well, I think you're pretty great, Kim.
I think you're okay.
That's not the validation I craved. It's a little bit less. Work on that for me, please.
I will.
Okay. Do you have something else you have to say?
I don't think so.
Okay. Cool. Well, if you're new to the show, welcome. Stay with us. Go back. Listen to some of the other shows that we've had. We've done a lot of movies at this point.
And if you have to be a vampire, you should be confident about that. I mean, it's your lot in life and it's what you do. But you shouldn't be controversial and call a little child a bitch.
No, don't do that. Go out and drink whoever's blood you need to.
Right. In the privacy of your own home.
Right.
But you don't need to spew your bad attitude around town.
Don't spew it anywhere.
Spew it. Don't spew it on children. People don't like that.
Okay, we need to end this podcast right now. Bye, guys. We love you.